What is up, everyone? We are back with some Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, and we're here to take a look at that Cid banner, the brand new Cid banner for his launch, and we're going to answer that question, should you pull? Okay, so, again, as the usual, guys, if you don't really care about the meta of the game, you love that character, you want to have stuff for that character, then by all means, pull for the banner. Like, if you really don't care about anything other than just having everything for that character, then go ahead and pull. Just, I would again make sure that you can get to the costume, because that's going to be the one thing in most banners that you're not going to be able to get later. Now, this is a limited banner, so the weapon is also not going to be able to be gotten later unless we get it to reappear in a limit break banner. So this one is a little bit more limited, I guess you could say, than the usual, because of that both weapon and armor will disappear once this banner's gone. So there's that kind of that to keep in mind if you're somebody who's kind of a Cid person. If you're you're kind of more thinking about the meta of the game, what do you need to fill your party, this is kind of to take a little bit more of an in-depth look at the gear and kind of talk about the advantages and disadvantages, the pluses and the minuses, all that good stuff. So let's take a look at the stamp card real quick. We have a standard limit break stamp card in the sense we've got our 5-star in the 4 slot, we've got the weapon in the 6, costume in 12, and then on the second page 4, 8, and 12, and then we just go into the EX, where there's also a 6, that stamp 6, a 5-star. So if you were to pull through 2 pages and you have insanely bad luck with stamps, or with your pulls, sorry, not the stamps, you have very poor pull luck, meaning you don't get any of his weapons naturally outside of the stamp sheet, you're looking at OB3 for his weapon, and then his costume. So that's still not too bad a spot to have a weapon at, in my opinion. OB1's great. OB6 even better than obviously OB10. You know, for a lot of weapons is where you definitely want to get it, but OB6 can be a solid spot for most weapons. So before we get into the stats of the stuff, let's look at the outfit itself first with the spear and the outfit. Overall, I actually like the look of this. I know some people have been kind of a little on it. I do kind of like the look of this. Yes, it's bulky and kind of weird, but it's a spacesuit. It's supposed to be. We got the Shinra 26 logo right here, the Shinra Space Agency logo over here. Like, this just looks really freaking cool. I do like it. Aside from the red here, I am kind of having trouble seeing how this weapon ties into his outfit. A lot of the times you get the Shinra patch there. Another Shinra patch over here. Like, this looks really cool. But usually you can see where the weapon ties into the outfit, and I'm not really getting that feel here. The weapon does look very futuristic. Like, it looks like lasers will shoot out of that or something like that. And yeah, we do have like little, what looks like rocket engines back here. Like, this could be a spaceship. But usually, like, even color coding, these kind of match. I'm just not getting that feel here. Yes, this kind of ties into a shirt. You've got the reds that match, but I don't know. You could put him in a different outfit, and I feel like this weapon could easily still fit with it. But overall, I do like the looks of both the weapon and the outfit. It's just one of those I don't feel like, oh man, these definitely have to go together. So that's kind of my thought there. I like the look of the outfit and the weapon, though. Just not necessarily together. Like, I don't feel like they have to be together. So let's take a look at his outfit first. Astronaut. So we have a new ability here, buff debuff extension to all allies. We're going to get a +5 here, so this is going to give us a 20% buff duration to all allies. It's a small little buff, but again, this is now less in theory you need to put on somebody who would normally have a buff debuff extension put on themselves or in their weapons to grant that. I thought this was good at looking at it first when this first released. As I think about it though, or as I thought about it between then and when I'm recording this video, he's in theory going to be your buffer debuffer. Why do we need to add that extension to all allies? That's not as necessary. Again, I thought it was really cool at first, but like I said, as I analyze it more, I don't find it as strong as what I originally did. In theory, I mean, yeah, so if you were to use this with like Tifa, this is going to help with her exploit weakness, I think. I think that was at least affected by the buff debuff. I could be wrong there. If somebody else is doing your imperiling, this could help out there. Or somebody is self-buffing, maybe? Like they have a self-buff you're going to use. Or like, you have Aerith's Citric Wand that does the ice damage up. So, but in my opinion, there's going to be rare instances, or not as common instances, where this is going to be needed as much as he would need it for himself. So, having that buff debuff Arcanum on this maybe would have been a stronger thing. Even though this isn't, like I said, this isn't terrible. It's not as strong as I originally thought it was. Cosmic Protection. This, on the other hand, physical defense and magic defense plus 20%, physical and magic attack plus 10%. That's awesome. It'd be even better on a DPS, and he kind of seems a little bit more geared towards, again, the buff debuff. So, not as good as it could be, but still not bad. It's still not bad. I want to be clear about that. I just don't see him much as the DPS role as I see him buff debuff and then kind of a controller with his stop ability, which we'll look at here in a moment. So yeah, I don't necessarily know if I agree with the stats for this. Rocket Lance. Okay, so at 5-star, does 390% magic non-elemental damage to a single enemy. Has Enfeeble. So what Enfeeble does is it puts an extra status on where if you then apply a debuff after Enfeeble has been granted, it gets an extra tier. So if you were doing something that did, magic damage or magic defense down high, it'll take it to very high. If you did ice resist down, mid, it's going to take it to high. So it just adds one extra tick. Now, like with this, for example, it does ice resist down mid. So if you hit it once, it's going to go mid, it's going to grant Enfeeble. At least I'm assuming they have to happen after each other. Since these would happen simultaneously, I don't think this would take effect on the first hit. On your second hit, though, I would think that this would then immediately jump to high. Because it's granting that extra level. And again, I could be wrong with that. I haven't played around with this, and I haven't seen it be used yet. It does have boost attack to all allies, buff debuff extension, P attack, cross sigil. You take it to OB1, 450%. Enfeeble lasts for 45 seconds, so it's gone up 5 seconds. Ice resist is still mid to mid. Boost attack all allies is at 32, so if you're main handing this, which you probably would be, you're getting a plus 9% to all allies magic attack and physical attack. He's getting also an 80% effect duration. At OB6, again, we look at this, it jumps up to 550% magic damage to that single enemy. Enfeeble's going for 50 seconds, so we're tacking on 5 seconds each time. The ice resist decrease has gone from high to high for 25 seconds. The time has not changed, but the amount has. And again, in theory, this would put it at very high if you already have Enfeeble already on. Boost attack all allies is at 40 points, so 11% to both magic and physical attack, 27, 120% effect duration to his buff debuffs. Not a bad place to get this thing at, again, especially with that Enfeeble and the potency being high on the ice resist decrease. This is a sweet spot to get this thing at. If you are a whale and you want to take this thing up to OB10, we now have jumped up to 70 seconds. So we went up, 5 seconds each time until we hit here, and we jump up 20 seconds for that Enfeeble. That's a huge increase, and that's going to last a long time through a battle in theory. And then the ice resist has gone to 35 seconds, staying high to high. Your boost attack has jumped up one more tick to get you to that 13% breakpoint on both physical and magic attack. Your buff debuff extension is at 39, so 150%. Is this worth taking up to OB10? I mean, if you're a whale and you've got unlimited funds, go right ahead. If you are somebody who's on a limited budget, OB6 would be a sweet spot, but keep in mind, this is a limit break banner, so it's a limited banner. Once this banner is done on, what, February 2nd? Yeah, February 2nd, this weapon goes bye-bye. And you're going to have to solely rely on weapon parts. Or character-specific weapon parts. So this wouldn't be bad even to have, like I said, even have it just base 5-star. In my opinion, just because that enfeeble stat is actually a really good thing. Like, I think about, you know, could you mix this with, you know, Tifa with her ice armor, her holy flame gauntlet, and her daffodil glove, where she's granting herself the exploit weakness. She's got the ice arcanum from her outfit. She's hitting with a strong ice weapon. You've then attacked with Sid, so he's then done this enfeeble. You know, he's knocked down their ice resist to high. If you had it at OB6, though, you know, he drops it down to very high. Somebody also hits in with a very high physical a high physical defense down, which knocks it to very high. I mean, Tifa could do a ton of damage on that. Mix that in with Aerith doing her Citric Wand with the ice damage boost. Like, you could probably do a ton of damage with this. But again, there's a lot of ifs in play there. Do you have that exploit weakness? Do you have, you know, Tifa's ice gear? Or do you have her current gear that gives her like the 30% to all elements? I mean, there's a lot of things in play there. And again, this helps with ice. But are we going to start seeing Enfeeble more often? You know, I think with Angel, you know, he came with Provoke and kind of like not shell, but it was like a wall, basically. I forget what it's called. And I really don't... Veil. There it is, Veil. And nobody else has dropped with those things yet. It's been just him. And then it just kind of disappeared. So is this Enfeeble going to be a Sid-only thing? Are we going to see it appear with other characters? Is it going to make reappearances? The Enfeeble effect itself? Same thing with this exploit weakness. This is another new one too. If we only get it with the one weapons on each, it's kind of a weird little spot to be in. So in the grand scheme of things, I really do feel like this looks really good. But when I start to nitpick and really kind of think about the future of the game and how it moves, I'm not as sure. I think I'll eventually try to go for at least one copy of the weapon. Because I'm starting to lean more towards, if I'm going to spend at this point, I'd rather go back to this banner and get myself to the end of the second card, or second stamp sheet. And then if I have anything left, which I hope I would, you know, pull once, try to get the limit break weapon. Because I think even 5-star, I think this thing's going to be useful. If I use Sid. And there's the other key thing. Are you going to use Sid? If you're not going to use him, there's no point in pulling on this banner at all. I don't feel like this banner, especially again, when it first dropped last night, I thought this looked really, really, really good. And as I've had time to sit and think, and the newness has worn off, it's still a strong banner. I just don't think it's as good as this one was. Now, one other big positive of this banner, especially if you're not going to pull on this one, and you're still seeking the premium heart weapon, this has it. So does the previous one for Vincent, but this banner has her ultimate weapon on here. So if you're still seeking the ultimate weapon, this isn't a bad banner to pull on if you were gonna like, I don't mind dumping something, and you still have a chance to get the weapon here, and you could still earn towards the pity for Tifa's ultimate weapon as well, because that ultimate weapon is really good. Well, at least where we stand right now in the game. So overall, my thoughts, I am going to hold off on this banner for right now, for sure. I'm probably going to pull more. I'll get to the end of that second stamp sheet on the Tifa Aerith banner, because the other thing we need to think about is we've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth releasing on PC, which I'm looking forward to, so I can finally play it. And I've avoided spoilers all this time so far, which has been I have no idea how. Even though I know how the original game ends, so it's not has anything to do with that unless there's big changes in the game. You know, I've been spoiler free from that. With that coming out, are we going to see a reappearance of the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth event crossover? You know, is that stuff going to come out? And if it does, I mean, I pulled a lot on that. I don't know if I would want anything else that would appear on it. Maybe some more of the weapons, get some more copies, but are we going to get that back? I mean, we're coming up on the 1.5-year anniversary. That could be another big thing too. So these are things that are kind of leaning me towards not pulling on this banner. Though, like I said, one copy of the weapon, in my opinion, for this one isn't going to be a bad thing. I like the, like I said, I like the costume in theory. I just, when I think about what's here, I don't feel like it's truly fits what we need. We really don't need this as much because, like I said, he's going to be the one doing the buffing and debuffing, probably not your other characters, or they're not going to be doing a whole lot anyways. In theory, he's your buffer debuffer. You know, yeah, the defense is fine, but the physical and magic attack, he's not a DPS. Or at least he's not going to be, in theory, geared as a DPS. So my thought is hold off on this banner. I would, if you're done with these two banners for sure, the Vincent banner and the Era and Tifa banner, I would hold off on pulling on this banner till maybe closer to the end of January, till we can see what we're going to be getting in the future. We do know that the guild battle is ice-based. Obviously, this is going to help towards that battle. So again, this is kind of the draw for pulling on it. I think that we can hold off on this banner a little bit longer until we can see maybe what's coming next. So that's my thoughts there. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Have I misanalyzed the banner? Is this a lot better of a banner than what I'm thinking? And you know, was my original thoughts when this first dropped closer to what's correct? Or, you know, is my analysis on this a little correct? You know, it looked good, but as the newness of it kind of wears off, it's not as great as it maybe originally was thought. So again, let me know down in the comments. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already, guys. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.